Man, some people just suck. There are just so many like low lives out there. Um, that's true now more so than ever. And really every facet of society. And if you want to think about that within the economy, that's certainly true of folks in the housing industry, broadly speaking. But then there are also people who don't suck, right? There's still some good people out there. But if we want to think about the former for a second, let's just kind of like walk through what they do, okay? And it's way more predictable than they actually realize. So, what do? It's just posturing more than anything, and they think by basically getting loud and angry and talking over the next person that they have, let's say, if they're wanting to engage you in an open dialogue, that's their way of sort of proving that they're right, despite maybe their argument not holding up at all. I mean, it's laughable, some of the guys who think that if they say something with enough bravado and conviction, then it must be true and it must be real. So, look, that presents a variety of different ways. But if you're willing to engage somebody like that, I'm just going to let you know right now, by the mere act of agreeing to have a dialogue with this person, you've already lost. And it doesn't matter how bulletproof, your thesis is, it really does not. That person is just looking to stir the pot. Period. They're not actually interested in talking with you. They want to talk at you. They want to command the conversation. They want to hijack the conversation. They want to trip you up. So, that looks like oftentimes baiting or deflecting blame, again, redirecting the conversation, uh, projection. So they're going to accuse you of the very thing they're most guilty of doing. And really, at the end of the day, what this comes down to is the fact that that person is just mentally ill. Really, that's what's happened. Person is mentally ill because they act like a 5-year old in an adult's body, and they're so petty and spiteful and vindictive and honestly just kind of slippery. They're so shape shifting. Like in the same sentence, they can be, it's like this victim bully you know, complex of just, wow, you can play both sides of the fence really, really fucking well. And for whatever reason, they seem to not understand the difference between being stern and being an asshole. They think by being obviously the latter, if you look around, somebody like Trump or whatever, it's rewarded, and so they're just going to go with that. And of course, you know, things like social media just perpetuate that, unfortunately. Um, but ultimately, somebody like that who lacks empathy, you have to understand where that comes from, right? It comes from a place of deep rooted insecurity. So ultimately, they're addicted to attention because, and it can be both good and bad. It doesn't really matter to them. It's as if like a Hollywood PR firm sort of like runs, you know, their brain. It's all just to gain attention. All attention, good or bad, is ultimately positive for people like that. And it's really because of the attention, because attention in their mind validates that they are still relevant, that they are still important. It's fucked up, but it's the truth. And I don't really have sympathy for people like that because ultimately they are making a choice, and people like that can uh, you can tell somebody like that until they're blue in the face to not act a certain way and engage in good faith, and they just still won't do it. I mean, you can talking to them about these particular issues, you may as well be speaking to them in a different language. And so, again, it just kind of is what it is, but dealing with those types of people, I don't know how productive it is to just go back and forth. I mean, that person's mind is set in stone. They're not going to budge. I mean, oftentimes it's funny because they will say things as if like they are the only ones sort of privy to a certain amount of information, which is just hilarious because again, all of these things are making them feel special. Somebody like that, I mean, they thrive in the ambiguity. Just let them go be dickheads. It's well documented. Everybody sees it. So I'm just not going to use my time that way. Uh, I would hope that other people wouldn't either. But again, to me, this is just a function of failed policy choices that have just emboldened people to be giant assholes. It is what it is. But despite that fact, I would hope that, I don't know, maybe some of us can focus on what's productive and the fact that there are still good people out there who are not going to invalidate somebody's reality. And that's what people like that do. Uh, they would have you believe that, say, for example, now 25% of renter households are paying 50% plus of their income towards rent. And how just the number has skyrocketed, especially after COVID. And when you look at originations, new home buyers who financed are getting absolutely pummeled. But they don't want to talk about that. That's what estimates show. Those are the trends. I mean, I've talked about this several times. I've shown the math. And there are people in that industry who are willing to talk about this stuff. They may not be able to talk about it like under their real name because then they'd probably lose their job, but they do exist. There are still good people out there who are willing to talk about this stuff. And despite how frustrating this whole thing is, I mean, can we just like focus on that just for a second? So, all right. I think that's all I got. Have a good one.